Vamos a empezar. Son las 6 y es la hora de clase. Muy buenas noches. Buenas noches.
Noches.
Sí, se oscureció. Hace unos minutos. It got dark just a few minutes ago. Okay, vamos a practicar. Espero que ustedes estén bien. I hope everybody is well. Sí, bien. Okay, vale. Quick reminder, sí, technically, I gotta flip to the right page. Technically, hoy sí. Yeah, technically, today is our last class of the first fall. So just a reminder, if you didn't sign up for the second fall, do so. We will start right away on November 2nd. Next week, we don't have a week off. We do start back up, but do that. There were a couple times when I forgot to tell people that they had to sign up twice, and then they were disappointed. I didn't remind them, and I thought they knew that. But yeah, it's that double registration whammy thing that is confusing to almost
Thank you for the reminder.
Well,
I signed up.
Bueno, sí. Well, you know, it's one of those things. I don't like to be pushy, but sadly, it's one of those things you don't think about. Oh, I've got to register twice, and a lot of people just forget or don't realize they have to do it. If you've done it a bunch of times, it's no biggie, but we want to make sure everybody's in. And you know, then you'd be able to still sign up anytime next week or probably the week after if you wanted to. So, okay. Bueno, vale. Vamos a practicar muchísimo con subjuntivo. Today is a day for subjunctive. So I anticipate that you're going to have questions. Well, maybe you won't. Maybe you're just, quizás ustedes sean personas muy avanzadas. Maybe you're just like super advanced and you think, pan comido. It's like piece of cake, pan comido. The way we say piece of cake, like something super easy, pan comido. Pero por la mayoría de las personas, el subjuntivo no es nada así, el pan comido. It is not a done deal, easy as pie, because it's not. So we're going to take a look at that. But I do want to see first if you have questions. ¿Tienen ustedes preguntas sobre si esto? Did you have any questions about this fun little video that we had about different? No, es bastante fácil, ¿no? Porque tienen los subtítulos en inglés también. Yeah, you've got the English subtitles as well. But that kind of points to the fact that even for people who are native speakers, you know, there are accents and there are accents, and sometimes depending on how many places people may live, they may grab a little from one place or another, which I was really interested to hear her say that, because being a native speaker, that has even happened to her since she has lived in a number of places. Y es interesante. It is interesting. And y también. Also, sí, también el video de Carlitos. Carlitos, sí. Qué interesante. Qué típico. Qué video típico de lo que pasa en una casa con un niño. I am very convinced that the man who does this videos is Carlitos. I think he is Carlitos.
Grown up.
Because he's got stories and I'm sure he's lived them. That's why. I've also heard his mother talk, and yeah, he's Carlitos. Okay. Bien. So one thing I want you to think about, and that's a kind of a long video, so we're certainly not going to go through every bit of it. I'll take any questions you might have had on it. Y me gusta cómo tiene aquí los dibujos de los abuelos, ¿no? Que indica que son viejos porque tienen los bastones. Yeah, they've got the canes. Es, you know, no es artista, pero sí él sabe indicar lo que quiere decir una palabra. He knows how to draw what it means, a certain word means. By the way, Yayo is a nickname for grandma and grandpa. Yayo, Yaya, only in Spain. Don't use that in Latin America. There are certain associations with cocaine with that. So, in some places, so don't go there, but in Spain they do that. Okay. You may want to go back, I think maybe midway through there. There's some segments where he uses subjunctive. And if you did not notice that, think about it, maybe go back and listen to that a second time. ¿Hay alguna pregunta sobre esto? Is there any question about this one? Because it was a bit longer and you don't have, you know, the subtitles as neatly laid out. ¿Pregunta o no? ¿Nada? ¿Nada? Es obvio, ¿no? Es obvio. Bueno, excelente. Entonces vamos a empezar con el subjuntivo. So I gave you one video to listen to about the subjunctive. It's actually a very good video. It talks to you about the basic formation and why we use it. And there are schools of thought on, well, do you even need to know subjunctive? It's good. Es buena idea. Sí, it's a good idea. Even if you can't use it perfectly all the time yourself, it's an excellent thing to know when you hear it, why you're hearing that, okay, and that you are hearing it. And subjunctive is used all the time. El subjuntivo se usa todos los días, todo el tiempo en la conversación de la vida cotidiana. In everyday life, it is used all the time. And the reason it's just such a stinker for English speakers, and it is, you know, interesting, not such a stinker for the French, because they have that too. I have to ask my daughter if the Germans have it. I think they do. But anyway, in some languages, this does exist. So not for all people who learn Spanish is subjunctive a difficult concept. For English speakers, it is, because we have almost nothing to compare it to. And when we do, well, we don't use it as often. We use it more in the past than we do in the present. But yeah, we do like 3, 4, 5 different things in English, depending on what you want to say. But we very, very seldom use this. The closest we get to it is like, you know, you might hear people say may or might. That kind of gets close, but it isn't still quite there the way it is in Spanish. Okay. Entonces, so we've got 2 speed bumps. Topes. Hay dos topes. Existen dos topes. 2 speed bumps exist with this. Speed bump number 1 is how do we form the subjunctive? And speed bump number 2 is why do we need this thing anyway? Why do we need this? And really, the why do we need to use it is the more difficult speed bump. It really is, because learning how to conjugate in it is not that bad. Okay. But why we use it to our brains truly is foreign. So the video that I asked you to listen to about the subjunctive, it was helpful from a couple of points of view. She explained to you that it's a mood. And I do want you to think of it as a mood. It has both a present and a past. Tenses exist within this mood they call subjunctive. But the idea that it is a mood should be kind of, it is helpful from this point of view. People use it when they feel the need to tell you that an action is not really in point of fact going on yet at this time. But they use it to indicate that they would like something to be happening, that maybe, perhaps, it could happen. They use it to say that they doubt something would happen, or they don't think something is going to happen. Subjunctive, that second speed bump of why we use it, is really, really difficult for us to wrap our minds around. but basically it is a mood because it is used when they feel like they feel like expressing doubt or talking about how they feel about somebody doing something or their hopes, desires, wishes for something to happen. So that is the harder thing to get used to for the English speaker. So let's take a very, very quick look. I'm sorry, perdón. Disculpen, excuse me. There was one other really super important thing that the instructive video I had sent out as a link is important to understand. Besides forming subjunctive and the fact that it's a mood, she also talked about, in general, you've got to have two different subjects. Oh, okay. So when you use subjunctive in a sentence, one half of the sentence is based in reality because it's very real that somebody wants something. It's very real that they feel doubt. It's very real that they don't think something is true. It's very real that they hope for something. That's the real part. And that stays in presente, the nice, neat present tense you've always learned. But it's that second half that kind of links back in that becomes subjunctive, because that's the half that we really know if it's going to happen. It isn't happening right now. It isn't something that is based in what is really happening at this exact moment. And that's why it goes into this mood called subjunctive. The desire, the hope, the wish drives that we have this subjunctive because we want somebody else to do something. We hope somebody else does something. We hope that the weather does something, right? So that piece that you have to have two different subjects is important, and I'll show you why in a little bit. Okay. Okay. Vale. Bueno, ¿cómo se forma? Let's just go through the easy stuff of how can I recognize that a verb is actually subjunctive? Okay. And I'll send you these so that you don't need to actually take notes. Okay. ¿Cómo se forma? ¿Cómo se forma? Es una pregunta, es una pregunta. Y necesito mi teclado en español. Ay, 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 ay. A ver. Ok. ¿Cómo se forma? Es muy, 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 muy fácil. And if you don't forget the first step of it, you will never go wrong. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong recognizing or being able to form a verb in subjunctive. You can't go wrong if you start with ya. Except for 6 verbs. Okay. Y 6 verbos no son muchos, and 6 verbs are not very much. Okay. So except for the dishes verbs, D-I-S-H-E-S, except for the dishes verbs, you're going to see those in a minute, you always know what to do with subjunctive. Always, siempre, siempre. Es fácil. You start with the yo verb. In order to form the subjunctive, we have to start with the yo. We get rid of the o at the end, okay? We get rid of the o. And then you just add the opposite verb ending, the one that seems like, well, that's wrong because it's an AR verb, or that's wrong because it's an ER-IR verb, but you have these endings. So here's why it's important to start with a yo form before you get into forming the subjunctive. Sometimes we have nice regular verbs like canto, regular, muy normal, no? Canto. But sometimes we have stem changes like puedo. And if you start with yo, you won't mess up and miss that stem change. And sometimes we have oddball things that are irregular only for yo, but not anywhere else. but we got to have that yo form to get to the subjunctive. We get to the subjunctive going through yo. Okay. So we've got 3 examples. Hay 3 ejemplos, okay? Muy regular, muy regular. Canto, we get rid of the O, and now we pretend like it's an ER-IR verb. Cante, cantemos, cantes, cantéis, you don't need the vosotros form, but I put it in there so you can see it. Cante, canten. Y yo, la forma de yo es lo mismo que la forma de él, ella, usted. The yo form is always the exact same form as the él, ella, usted form. Yeah, okay. But you know, you can't really go wrong. And S at the end always means a tú verb, right? A mos at the end always means a we, nosotros verb. And N at the end always means a multiple plural they verb. I'm just not in the group. Yeah, that's what you've got. So, un verbo regular, canto, and cambia, se convierte en cante, cantes, cante. Okay, poder, puedo. We keep the UE, we have to have that sem change in there, but we use the opposite vowel. It's an ER verb, so we put it on an a ending. Okay, pueda, puedas, pueda. Podamos, because it's outside the boot, so it goes back to the O, just like it does for presente, right? Podáis, puedan. Okay, vale. Bien. And now we got one of these verbs that's a go verb. It gets a go for the yo form. So if you remember that, you will not go wrong. We start with vengo, and we get things like venga, vengas, venga, vengamos, vengáis, vengan. Okay, vengan. And there we go. So, if the verb is irregular in yo, in presente, it will start with that yo form and you're just swapping out the endings. Verbs get ER-IR endings. ER-IR verbs get AR endings. Okay, vale? Good so far?
Sí.
Bien, okay. So, los 6, the 6 that are oddballs. Of course, there always have to be irregulars, but this is it. Es todo. That's all that you got. They are irregular because they do not start with the yo form. Look at what the yo form would be. And by the way, the acronym is dishes. The verbs that do this are the dishes verbs. That means they are dar, ir, ser, haber. We'll come back to that in a minute. Estar, saber. They're irregular because we do not start with doy. We do not start with boy. We do not start with soy. We do not start, okay, this is kind of an odd verb. We do not start with, I guess I'll say because in the perfect tenses, that's what it would be. We do not start with estoy. We do not start with se, con acento, con énfasis, se. We don't, those don't end in o. The yo forms don't end in o, right? So they're irregular. But take a look. Dar is an AR verb, and it still gets endings that look like ER-IR. Oh, it still kind of hangs in with that part of the pattern. Ir, well, IR verb, but look, it doesn't get, it gets the type endings. Heavy influence on that vowel ending for the conjugations. Ser, an ER verb, but look, it's got all kinds of type endings. So you see where I'm going with this, where I'm going with it is that it still obeys that part of the swapping the endings, but they have different irregular forms. And the de gets an accent mark just to distinguish it from the de that means of or from. Okay, so dar get de, des, de, demos, des, den. Okay, but Ir, vaya, vayas, vaya, vayamos, vayáis, vayan. Ser, sea, and you're going to see this one really, really soon. Sea, because we can't start with soy. Sea, seamos, seáis, sean. We'll come back to haber in a minute. Estar, esté, estés, esté, estemos, estéis, estén. And saber. Sepa, 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 sepamos, sepáis, sepan. I'm going to give you one important way that you hear saber in subjunctive a lot in everyday conversation. Here's the most common way you will hear this verb, saber. And you may only hear it without the first half of the sentence. Para que sepas,
That you know.
para que sepas, and that's like us saying, just so you know, because now you don't. Oh, I. Okay, yeah. So, para que sepas means, oh, you don't know it yet, but just so you catch on to this. Okay. Por ejemplo, and you may hear it as just that string thrown out there, just that stub of a sentence. Because remember how she said you need two subjects? I don't see any stinking two subjects there, and I don't hear them. Yeah. Para que sepas is kind of a stub, a hangnail, if you will, a shortened part of the sentence. Te digo esto, I'm telling you this. Te digo esto para que sepas. I'm telling this to you just so you know. And I know ahead of time, I'm telling, digo, normal. Te digo esto, I'm telling you this, para que sepas. You don't know it now, but I'm going to tell it to you. And the fact that you don't know now is why sepas does what that does. Para que sepas. Just so you know. Okay? I'm filling you in. This is one of those conversational little snippets that you hear a lot. Okay. Let's go back to haber really, really briefly. Haber is what I comes from. Oh, these have I, but kind of morphed, yeah? Sí, hay un celular, hay una botella de agua, hay un dispositivo electrónico, there's an electronic gadget, see? And we use it to talk about things that just exist, right? But we also use it in perfect tenses to say that I have seen or we have eaten. And okay, so you may see all these forms like haya, hayas, haya, hayamos, hayáis, hayan. But I've got one of these underlined because probably that's the one you're the most likely to hear. And remember, just like I doesn't change to plural. You know, if I say hay dos libros, there are two books. Pero hay una botella, there is a bottle. And I is always I. If you're using I in that impersonal sense to say there is or there are, then you will hear it just used in that one that you see in bold. Okay. Okay. Un ejemplo. En la Biblia, Dios dice, God says, que haya luz. Let there be light. Because there wasn't any till he said, let there be light. Okay. that there may be light. Okay, so these are the only ones that are oddballs. They're still not odd in that they use an opposite ending, but they're oddballs because they don't start with yo. Everything else is going to start with yo. Everything, todo, todo. Okay, so here are things that you're likely to hear that show you why it's important to start with yo. Yeah, because if I use conocer, I have to start with conozco to get to conozca. Okay, un ejemplo, an example. Quiero que conozcas a mi sobrina. I want you to meet my niece. I want that you meet my niece. You haven't met her yet. So that's not part of reality. But I want that you meet her. So I cannot express that in Spanish as quiero que conoces. Okay? Because the conoces part doesn't exist yet. You haven't been introduced. So that second verb, because I wish for it to happen, but I don't know yet if it will, it's got to go into this mood because I'm willing that it should happen. Yeah, I have a mood. I have a feeling I would like this, but it isn't part of reality yet. So look how odd that is. Conozco, you conozca es, yeah, it's based. Sí, Esteban, una pregunta.
See, if you and I are in a room together
Mm-hmm.
and my niece is standing there
Mm-hmm.
and I say, quisiera
Presentar.
presentar, my mind isn't working.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce, right?
Right, but you would use the present tense. There's no need then because the person is right there. Am I wrong?
Oh, almost. You're so close. You're so close. You're almost there. And we'll talk in just a second about why you're almost there. But you're on the right track. You're for sure on the right track.
This drives me wacky. I don't know.
I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. We're getting to get to that second. So, okay, all I want you to do is to kind of take a gander. These are oddball things because the yo verb is odd. So, and you probably heard some of these said by somebody sometime in this form, right? Decir becomes diga. Yeah, diga, digas, diga. Hacer becomes haga, hagas, haga. See? Poner becomes ponga, pongas, ponga. Salir becomes salga, 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 right? Tener becomes tenga. Que tengan buen fin de semana. Que tengan buen fin de. That you may have a good weekend. Que tengan buen fin de semana. Okay? And the que tenga, I know it's kind of a hangnail because wait a minute, what happened to my two sentences? We're just leaving off the desire part. Yeah. I could say, I hope you have a good weekend. Espero que tengan buen fin de semana. I could say, ojalá que tengan buen fin de semana. Okay, but sometimes people leave that off when they throw it off out as the que phrase, and you're going to see a bunch of these in a little explanation video. Okay, traigo, traer becomes traiga, right? Venir becomes venga, but you've already seen that one. So, para que sepan, so that you know that happens. Well, okay, let's take a look. Esteban tiene buena pregunta. He's got an excellent question. That whole thing of needing to have two subjects is actually a thing, but I'm going to show you the difference between needing subjunctive and not. Okay, because actually you've often not needed to use it. Okay, aquí, okay. Por ejemplo, let's take the, I want to introduce you. Yeah, I want to introduce you to my granddaughter. There's a normal thing to say to somebody if you've got
Did you
the
get
kids
those
or young
set?
adults in tow. And quiero presentar a mi nieta. I want to introduce my granddaughter who wants something. Who's going to do the introducing?
Me?
You are, yeah. When the person is the same, I don't need that subjunctive. Oh, because I want it, and I'm the one who's also doing it. So the human being does not change. This nieta business, nieta, she's just standing there. Yeah, okay. But, pero, es otra cosa. It is a different thing. Cuando digo, quiero que conozcas a mi nieta. I want that you should meet. I want that you should, literally. Now, we're never going to say that in English because that would just sound dumb in English. I mean, it just would. I want that you should know, or that you might know, or meet. Let's chip it because it really means meet, right? I want that you should meet my granddaughter. Okay, yeah. But we don't say that in English. We don't phrase it that way. We say, I want you to meet. We say to meet. That's why it's so hard, because we haven't got anything in English that is like that. You're never going to say to somebody, I want that you should meet her. Because because people kind of look at you, okay. But you will say, I want you to meet her, right? Okay, so here we go. I am the one who wants here, Joe, yeah. But what I want is that you do something, tú. So here is what happens. I do have two different subjects. I am willing something, I want something to happen, and I want that you should do this. I want that you meet her. Okay, you haven't met her yet. And
In the video, oh, sorry, in the video, she also mentions the relative pronouns, like the,
yes.
so is that
Well,
always there, would you say? Is that a hint?
Yeah, okay, so, oh, yes. Now, does the average person know what a relative pronoun is?
No.
Okay. So is that important? Well, if you're a linguistics student, yes, it is very important. But what winds up happening is that the predominant, the big, if you do a pie chart and you do percentages, the big percentage one is going to be that word K.
Okay.
It's a linking word. So that relative pronoun, okay, here's the thing. The relative pronoun, this is the link. It's a word. It's a word that links from the fact, I want, to the hasn't happened yet.
Right.
It's a link.
What if you did these sentences and you didn't use subjunctive? Would people understand you, or would you sound
It
ridiculous?
sounds weird. They're very patient and kind.
Right.
And they're not going to tell you, how come you can't use subjunctive? No, nobody's ever going to do that.
They probably
Well,
don't
they-
even know the name subjunctive.
Yeah, they'll know what you mean, but it'll be like, yeah, it'll be like somebody speaking broken English to you.
Right.
I don't really have a good thing to compare it to. Like a good English mistake that would be on the same, but it would sound weird to them. It sounds weird. Okay, so what if it's not K? Sometimes it could be something else. It could also be para qué, like that. Para que sepas. It could be a thing like that. Para que just means so that. So that. Yeah. Okay. It could be, ooh, this is a big one. Cuando. It could be cuando. But it's not always cuando. That cuando one is not 100%. We'll talk about that yet a different time. Well, you may see an example yet tonight. I can't remember if there's an example. It'll be when the action hasn't happened yet, right? If I talk about when with a habit, you don't need subjunctive. But if I talk when about talking about something in the future that hasn't happened yet, because subjunctive is not part of reality, then I need it. So, okay, un ejemplo. Dos ejemplos breves. Two things. Cuando is a little more problematic than que. Que is kind of like an easy no-brainer. Oh, que is going to link it to something else. But cuando, you might go subjunctive or you might go, okay, por ejemplo, sí. Cuando voy de compras en Sprouts, compro vegetales. Bien. When I go to Sprouts, I buy veggies. And what I'm talking about is what I always do. Yeah. When I go to Sprouts, I buy veggies. When I do this, I always do that. This is a habit. But when I talk about cuando to not indicate a habit, but rather to indicate something in the future, then something changes. So, por ejemplo, your husband's on a business trip. Cuando llegues a Nueva York, llámame, por favor. When you get to New York, call me, please. Or we can invert the order. Yeah, because it doesn't have to be that order. We could flip this to the front. Llámame, por favor, cuando llegues a Nueva York. Call me, please, when you get to Big Apple. Yeah. Call me when you get to the Big Apple. Are you in the Big Apple yet? No, you're not. So this llegar, normalmente un verbo de AR, normally an AR verb, it can't be in that AR format because you're not in New York yet. You're like in the air or at the airport waiting to get on the plane. Yeah, but you're not there yet. This cuando, this particular cuando is talking about the future.
Okay. Marilyn?
Sí.
Okay, two sentences. Are they both wrong or are they both right? Quisiera que conozcas a mi nieto, using
Okay.
the subjunctive. Or
Sí.
I would not normally do that. I would say quisiera conocerte a mi nieto.
No.
So you can't use,
No.
cannot use conocerte.
No.
Okay, gracias. So it would
Because
be
you're not the one meeting.
See,
Somebody else is doing the meeting.
okay, so that would be a subjunctive
You need to
situation.
use subjunctive in a
Thank you.
situation like that. Sí. Eso es. That is it. Sí. Okay. So that relative pronoun thing, for a lot of these examples, it's going to be que, but it could be something else. Para que sepan, just so you know. Para que sepan. Okay. So generally, the thing of having two people, the present tense part that is not subjunctive, the present tense part is going to be a verb that talks about wanting, wishing. Oh, could even be like insisting. Yeah. asking somebody to do something. It could be a command. When she talked about that weirdo thing in the two verbs scenario, the first verb that's plain old present tense that you know how to do forever and ever has to be something that talks about wishes or emotions or an impersonal phrase. We'll talk about that another time. It's a phrase that always starts with this. It's like, it's possible, it's important, it's necessary, it's stuff like that. Verbs that talk about doubts, and that ojalá, and the ojalá is the nice all-purpose thing, because ojalá is only used in that one way, okay? But sometimes we even use subjunctive without really having those two halves. You know, I mean, technically you're supposed to have the two halves, but sometimes you hear it kind of truncated when it is understood that the first half is somebody wants something to happen. So let's listen to some typical things. And I'm going to start mid-video because we don't really need to watch the intro part of it. You can do that later on your own. Okay. And she's going to explain some situations that were here. Pueden ver a Mariana. Can you see Mariana here? ¿Sí? ¿Bien? Bien. Oh, okay.
El subjuntivo, subjunctive, es a mood in Spanish. No me refiero a que el español se ponga feliz o triste. A mood is a way of saying something in a language. The indicative, the imperative, and the subjunctive are the three moods you'll learn in Spanish. Well, we'll talk about that in another video maybe. Now, quizás esta información sea útil. This information might be useful for some people, but let's leave it for linguists and language nerds. Well, now that I think about it, I'm both. Pero no creo que sea contagioso, but I don't think it's contagious, so you're safe, and you can just forget I mentioned all these fancy words. Quizás no te hayas dado cuenta. Perhaps you haven't noticed, but I've been using the subjunctive repeatedly. Let's rewind. Quizás nunca hayas escuchado esa palabra.
Perhaps you've never heard that
Perhaps you
word.
have never heard that word before. Es posible que el subjuntivo sea. Probably the subjunctive is. Quizás esta información sea útil. Perhaps this information is useful. Pero no creo que sea contagioso. But I don't think it's contagious. Quizás no te hayas dado cuenta. Perhaps you haven't noticed. So, sea and hayas are verbs in the subjunctive. But why am I using them? Do you remember that we said the subjunctive is a mood? If we use words like quizás, perhaps, es posible, it's likely, probably, no creo, I don't think, how are we saying things? With uncertainty, right? When I say, quizás nunca hayas escuchado esa palabra, perhaps you have never heard that word before, I cannot tell for sure whether or not you have heard the word subjunctive before. I have no proof, so I am somewhat doubtful. When I say, es posible que el subjuntivo sea, probably the subjunctive is one of the hardest things in Spanish grammar, I'm expressing an opinion, because some people might think que el subjuntivo es difícil, that the subjunctive is hard, but others, like me, may not. So, algo que debes tener en mente, something you should bear in mind, is that native speakers don't use the subjunctive to talk about facts. Instead, they use it to express doubt, wishes, or desires, to talk about things that might happen, or to give an opinion or a piece of advice. Los hablantes nativos usan el subjuntivo. Native speakers use the subjunctive together with certain verbs and specific words. You will learn a very popular one by listening to two songs I'll recommend in just a minute. Native speakers use the subjunctive to wish somebody something. The following chunks contain a subjunctive porque todos son deseos, because they are all wishes. Que te vaya bien. Best of luck. Que te mejores pronto. Get better soon.
And notice with these two, these are kind of hangnails. we don't have the first half. We don't have that indicative first half of having like one person and a different human being in the second half, because it's just assumed that you're talking about, I hope that this other thing happens, or I would like that this other thing happens, okay? Que te vaya bien. This is something that little hangnail that just starts with the que, which is that relative pronoun. That kind of happens a lot when somebody's just throwing out a nice idea to you. Que te vaya bien. Best of luck. Well, what that really says is that all goes well for you. That it all goes well for you. All right. And you were just assuming that I hope. Yeah. So people assume the I hope part and may just not even say it sometimes. Okay. They might not say, espero que, I hope that. Espero que te vaya bien. Or quiero que te vaya bien. They might drop off the hoping or wishing part because, you know, we can assume that's what you mean. Or I hope, I want you to get better. I hope you get better. They might leave that off and just throw the nice idea out. Que te mejores pronto, okay? And we'll brainstorm about some of those in a few minutes.
Que la pases bien. Have a nice time.
Oh, yeah, que la pases bien. That you have a good time. That you may have a good time. Well, when you're on your way to the party, you don't know yet if it's a bust or if it's a good party. But you're hoping they have fun. Yeah, you want people to have fun. Que la pases bien. Pases comes from pasar. It's an AR verb, but we use what sounds wrong. Okay.
Que tengas un lindo día. Have a nice day. Que descanses. Have a good night's sleep. Native speakers use these chunks all the time, so you already know they're correct. And if you learn them by heart, you'll sound like a native speaker without having to worry about any other rules or conjugation tables. Think about it right now. Can you see yourself saying que descanses to a friend, a family member, or anyone else to wish them good night? Of course. So repeat after me and say it out loud. Que descanses. Congratulations, you have proven to yourself that you can use the subjunctive. Do you know all the other ways to use the subjunctive? Probably not. Do you know a full conjugation table for the subjunctive? Probably not. Does it matter? Of course not. Just use these chunks and you will be using the subjunctive correctly already. An easy way to memorize these chunks so that you can use them yourself in conversations is using flashcards. We provide you with a thorough explanation as to how to learn chunks by heart in our free Spanish chunking training. If you want to learn more, click on the link in the description. Meanwhile, as promised, I suggest you listen to the following songs to learn the subjunctive. Ojalá, by Silvio Rodríguez. Ojalá que llueva café, by Café. You might even want to look up la letra, the lyrics, and sing along. So while you're singing, you're also using the subjunctive like a real native speaker. Again, without having to learn all the other rules in advance. How cool is that? If you keep listening and singing along these songs in a lot of Spanish, you will notice that you start to get a feel for the language. You will start to feel what sounds right and what doesn't, whether it includes a subjunctive or not. So, if you hear que te vaya bien over and over again, you will know that is the right way to say it as opposed to que te va bien, which will just sound wrong to you. So, how do you feel? I, for one, feel very proud of you because you have proven to yourself that you can speak Spanish with the subjunctive. Well done! Make sure to watch the other videos in our subjuntivo series to discover even more chunks.
Okay. Y eso es suficiente. That's enough for now. Okay. So, entonces, quiero que ustedes practiquen. I want you guys to practice this a little bit. Qué interesante. Bueno. Feel brave enough to practice in small groups, or do you want to practice all together? Todos juntos? O en
All together.
grupos?
The whole group. I
The
don't feel
whole group.
confident.
Yeah.
Okay, está bien, that's okay. I'm gonna
Not yet.
I'm gonna take my cue from you. Okay. So we're going to use just some of the easy stuff. We're gonna take the easy route. We're gonna start with the hangnails instead of the whole shebang, okay? So that you don't have to think about two verbs and different people yet. Because a really common way for us to use subjunctive is sometimes with these hangnails. Okay, I'm gonna get some ideas here. Okay. Okay, all right, let's take a look and see if you can flesh out a few ideas here. We're going to start with the hangnails, and these are all tagged down to the whole big chart. So you'll see these again later. You won't lose these, but these are all tagged down the email. Divertirse. Divertirse. ¿Qué quiere decir divertirse? What does that mean?
Enjoy yourself.
Have fun.
Yeah, to have fun, to enjoy oneself. So I want to say, oh, hope you enjoy yourself. Hope you enjoy yourself, but we're going to leave off the hope part. We're going to start just off with the que. Que, right? This is
Yeah.
what you say to somebody when they're going out the door.
Sí.
That's why it's a
Que.
hangnail, okay?
Que te divertas.
Ah, muy bien. Que te diviertas. That you have a good time. May you have a good time. Nobody says in English, may you have a good time. That's a wow. Yeah. Do you understand what they mean? Well, of course you do, but it sounds kind of weird. Yeah. People just say, have a good time. Yeah. That's why we haven't really got, good comparisons in English. Que te diviertas. Well, ooh, wait a minute. Let's change that up just a little bit. What if I'm talking to my kid and his two buddies? I'll have to morph it a little because now I'm talking to a bunch of guys.
Que se diviertan.
Divertan.
Diviertan. ¿Por qué diviertan? Because I'm talking to more than one guy. So I have to, as if I'm talking to ustedes, right?
Mhm.
So it's a hangnail because what would be in the front is espero que se diviertan,
Mhm.
or quiero que se diviertan, or ojalá que se diviertan. Ojalá se diviertan, right? So, right, that subjunctive verb may morph depending if I'm talking to a tú person or I'm talking to a bunch of people, right? Depends on who I'm addressing. Disfrutar es también enjoy. This is also an enjoy verb. And let's say disfrutar del concierto. ¿Cómo se dice? I hope you really enjoy that concert. I hope you appreciate it.
Ojalá que-
And we're going to use the hangnail.
Okay.
Disfrutes.
Que
Okay.
disfrute.
Que disfrutes
Que
del
disfrute.
concierto.
Okay.
Que disfrutes del concierto. Sí. Que disfrutes del concierto. If you're talking to a bunch of people, it'll be que
Disfruten.
disfruten del concierto. Sí. Ok, bien. So that's another enjoy kind of verb. Oh, you are hoping that someone sleeps well.
Mm.
Yeah.
You're hoping somebody sleeps well.
Que duerma bien.
Que duerma bien.
Que duerma. It could be duerma, que duerma bien.
Or duermas.
It could be duermas, right? Depends on who you're talking to. It could be to a whole bunch of people, okay?
Duerman.
Duerman bien, right? If you're talking to all your grandkids are staying at your house. Yeah?
Oh,
Que
God.
duerman bien. Noche buena, Christmas Eve night. Yeah, well, you tell them because you're just begging for them to get in that bed so they don't try to stay up for Papa Noel, right? Que duerman bien. Yeah, sleep well, kids. Okay, so these are kind of the hangnail parts. So a lot of times you'll just hear a half of this. It is not unusual when somebody is saying something as a passing thought because they're wishing you well in some way, shape, or form.
Carolyn,
See,
so like vaya con Dios is, that would be an example?
que vaya con Dios, may you go with God. Es sí, es
I hear that all the
posible.
time, at least
Sí.
in movies.
Pero que.
Yeah, sí. You want to tell somebody, I mean, you're wishing them well, but kind of in a warning way. Hey, be careful out there. Ooh, be careful out there. Okay. Ooh, I gotta start with tengo.
Oh.
Tenga.
Tengas.
Que tenga, right? Que tenga, it could be que tengas, que tengan, right? It could be any of those. Que tenga cuidado. Que tenga cuidado. Que tenga cuidado, eh? Yeah. They're wishing you well, but in a cautious way. Yeah. So these kind of things are, vaya, that you may go. Those are all little examples of how we use that. So sometimes you will just hear it thrown out as a little hangnail thing. But the first half is just understood. I'm wishing something for you. Okay, yeah. Okay.
No question.
Sí, dime.
So when is there a difference between like when you would use like a command or like I've always like said like ten cuidado?
Oh, yes.
Or are both correct?
They're both correct.
Okay,
They're both
okay.
correct. Yeah, you can use
Doesn't
that.
matter.
Sí, ten cuidado, be careful. Yeah.
Okay.
There it's a
So you
command.
can it's just a different way of saying the same
Yeah,
thing.
it's just exactly. Sí, exactly right. Sí, eso es. Okay. And sometimes you'll have que as a little linker and sometimes not. I want you to listen to another example, and this will initially sound perhaps tedious, but there is a method to the madness. Okay. This is something that actually you hear people saying quite frequently too. I'm trying to pick things that are conversational that people actually say this stuff. And he's going to repeat this information more than once. And by the way, the person who did this video does not believe in you learning all the rules, like learn all those verbs, like weirdo, memorize all those verbs. He does not believe in that. He believes in just learning a natural setting of here are the words that link together and just use it that way. But, well, we'll see. Okay. Hopefully you'll pick up. If you don't pick it up the first time, he's going to repeat it. Oh, perdón, momentito. I think I didn't do that quite right. Now I got it. This is my twin brother. He is 2 minutes older than I am. Se llama Pepe y piensa que es más listo que yo. His name is Pepe, and he thinks he's lots sharper than I am. See, ser listo is to be a clever, sharp, smarty pants. Yeah. So he does a little role play here, just to give you some idea of what people actually say in real life. First, without subtitles.
Juan, Pepe, ¿qué pasa? Pepe, mira, dime, mira, ¿qué hacemos este fin de semana? Lo que tú quieras, Juan, a mí me da igual hacer una cosa que otra. ¿Quedamos? Como tú quieras, Juan, a mí me da igual, lo mismo me da quedar que no quedar. ¿Cuándo quedamos? Cuando tú quieras, Juan, cuando tú quieras. A mí me da igual. Lo mismo me da a una hora que a otra. ¿Y dónde vamos? Donde tú quieras, Juan. Vamos donde tú quieras. Hacemos lo que tú quieras y quedamos donde tú quieras. A mí me da igual. Lo mismo me da un sitio que otro.
He's going to know that you didn't pick up all that.
Vale.
So he's going to come back to
Vale,
it in a bit.
entonces, vamos al cine. Hay una peli nueva que quería ver. No, mira, al cine no me apetece ir, preferiría ir de tiendas. Tengo que comprarme una camisa nueva y... Vale, entonces iremos de tiendas. Iremos de tiendas. ¿Quedamos el viernes? No, mira, mejor el sábado. El viernes no me viene bien. El viernes prefiero quedarme en casa. ¿Vale? Entonces, quedamos el sábado. Quedamos el sábado a las 7. ¿A las 7? No. A esa hora no me viene bien. Mejor a las 7:30. ¿Vale? Bueno, entonces, quedamos el sábado a las 7:30. Quedamos en el bar de siempre. No me viene bien. Mejor quedamos en el bar que hay enfrente de mi casa. ¿Vale? Vale, Pepe, entonces quedamos el sábado a las 7:30 en el bar de enfrente de tu casa para ir de tiendas y que te compres una camisa nueva. Como quieras, Juan, como tú quieras. A mí me da igual hacer una cosa que otra, lo que tú quieras. Vale.
Okay, now you don't know all of that, and that's okay. What is the big picture situation that you could kind of guess at? Not every single word, but what's just the big picture? He's calling his brother to do what?
They're planning to get
Oh,
together on
movie.
the weekend.
To
They're
meet up.
making weekend plans,
Mhm.
right? Okay. The big picture is he's calling him to arrange a meetup, a getting together. Okay. Do you think this brother is an easy person to please for the get together?
No.
Look, you already know that. But you're going to notice something when you get the subtitles in. Oh, he's, I don't know, is this being passive aggressive? I'm not quite sure. He wants to look like, it's no big deal, whatever you want. You're going to hear, I want you to listen for and look for whatever you want. Listen for whatever you want next time through, okay? So yes, you got that they're trying to arrange a meetup, that there's been some disagreement about what day, what time, exactly which place, that he's fussier than he thinks he is. Yeah, all those things are going on, and that's good that you got that part of it. Okay, so what he's going to say next is, seeing videos is not enough. You've got to activate your vocabulary that is passive. In this case, it's vocabulary you haven't got yet, but that's okay. So you got to use the expressions with somebody. So you're going to listen to this again. You're going to see what they're saying.
Juan, Pepe, ¿qué pasa?
What's going on?
Pepe, mira,
Hey, look,
dime,
tell me,
mira, ¿qué hacemos este
what are we
fin de
doing this
semana?
weekend?
Lo que tú quieras, Juan, a mí.
Ah, lo que tú quieras, whatever you want. Let me back that up just a little bit. This is the thing that people
Fin
say
de
a
semana.
lot. Hang on, it blipped on us here, perdón. Okay. Okay. I gotta get my thingy back here. A ver. Okay. Bien. Lo que tú quieras, whatever you want. But that is still kind of a hangnail, isn't it? It's still a bit of a hangnail. Whatever you want is not what is actually going on right now. All right. It is. Okay. Now I got my screen back. Whatever you want is just that phrase. Lo que quieras. Whatever. And look what a hangnail we use in English. Whatever. People even just, yeah. People don't even say in English sometimes, whatever you want. What do you want to do? Whatever. Yeah. And that's the way it goes. But okay, I'll let it roll because that's why it blipped on me, but we'll let it roll here a little bit. Okay, bien.
Y a mí me da igual hacer una cosa que otra.
It's all the same to me.
¿Quedamos?
Are we agreed?
Como tú quieras, Juan. A mí
Whatever
me
you
da
want.
igual. A mí me da igual. Lo mismo me
It's
da
all the same
quedar
to
que
me.
no quedar. ¿Cuándo quedamos?
When are we getting together?
Cuando tú quieras, Juan. Cuando tú quieras.
Whenever
a mí
you
me da
want.
igual. Lo mismo me da a
Same to
una
me.
hora que a otra. ¿Y dónde vamos?
Where are we
Donde
going?
tú quieras, Juan. Vamos donde tú
Wherever
quieras.
you
Hacemos
want.
lo que tú quieras y quedamos donde tú quieras.
We'll do what
A
you
mí me da
want.
igual.
I don't care.
Lo mismo me da un sitio que otro.
One place is just the same as the other to me.
¿Vale?
Okay.
Vale. Entonces,
Shall we
vamos
go
al
to the
cine.
movies?
Hay una peli nueva
New
que
movie that
quería
I
ver.
wanted to see.
No, mira.
No, look.
Al cine no me apetece ir.
I don't feel like a
preferiría ir de
movie.
tiendas.
I'd like to go to a
Tengo
store.
que comprarme una camisa nueva.
I gotta buy a new shirt.
Vale. Entonces
Okay.
iremos de tiendas.
We'll go to a store.
Iremos de tiendas. ¿Quedamos el viernes?
Friday?
No, mira, mejor
No.
el sábado. El viernes no me
Saturday's
viene bien.
better.
El viernes prefiero quedarme en casa.
I
¿vale?
wanna stay home
Entonces,
Friday.
quedamos el sábado.
Okay, we agreed on
Quedamos el
Saturday.
sábado a las 7.
Seven?
¿A las 7? No. A esa
No,
hora
no.
no me viene bien.
No,
Mejor,
that's no
mejor a
good
las
for
7:30. Vale. Bueno, entonces quedamos el sábado a las 7:30.
We agreed on 7:30.
Quedamos en el bar de siempre.
Shall we meet up at the bar?
No me viene bien.
No.
Mejor quedamos en el bar que hay enfrente de mi casa.
Let's get,
¿Vale?
yeah, at bar in front
Vale,
of my
Pepe,
house.
entonces quedamos el sábado a las 7:30 en el bar de enfrente de tu casa para ir de tiendas y que te compres una camisa nueva.
So what he is saying, oh, so he's repeating because of course now the scenario has changed a gazillion times, even though he's always saying lo que quieras, whatever you want. But what he's really saying with lo que quieras is whatever you may want to do. Donde quieras, wherever you may want it to be. Cuando quieras, whenever you want it to be. Okay. And all those little subjunctives were thrown in there, right? Bien. So that's really all you need to see for that. But those little hangnails sometimes are out there just to, and they're subjunctive. They're subjunctive because they're talking about what somebody may want to do. Así es, okay? All right. And I'll send you that little snippet so you can kind of get a feel for that. So whatever you may want is expressed as subjunctive. Okay. Questions so far? Fire them up. It's not all going to be natural. I can give you like a list of verbs. Here are the verbs, but you're not going to be able to memorize all of them. Shall we do some lists of verbs? Some? that are going to trigger that you need subjunctive later? Will that help?
Mhm.
Have the
Yeah,
hang
I
word?
remember we talked about that before, yeah.
We talked about that before, so maybe let's talk about that a little bit more. Un poquito más.
Mhm.
Okay.
I know
Now-
for me, when I can't always hear the difference of subjunctive, but when I'm reading the subtitles and listening or reading some of the articles that you've given us, yeah, Fred and I have said, oh, look, gee, is this a typo?
You
But
see
it's
it-
not, it's subjunctive.
When you see it, yeah,
Mhm.
and it's not a typo. Yes.
Yeah,
If you think it's a typo, it's probably not.
yeah, right.
Seriously?
Right, but when you're
Yeah.
arrogant and you actually figure out a sentence and it's like, hey, this is wrong, but of course it's not. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
subjunctive because it's the wrong conjugation, wrong verb.
Eso es.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's what looks like it's a wrong conjunction or
conjugate.
a
Yeah,
wrong
right.
conjugation.
ES,
Uh,
ES, and then it's AS or something. Yes, yeah, but
Okay.
I can see it much more easily, but like when I was listening to the guy that was drawing, I didn't catch everything, though I was trying to listen. I didn't hear the little nuances of the endings.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So, lo que pasa es esto. Pueden ver. Can you see my screen now? My weirdo
Mhm.
screen? See?
Mhm.
Just confirming that went correctly. Okay, bien. So when this lady was talking in the homework video, when she was saying you got to have a weirdo verb, those little hangnails are missing that end, right? Que lo pases bien, have a good time. Que te diviertas, have a good time, right? Que duerman bien, hey, sleep well, you guys. Those are the hangnails. They're missing the weirdo half of it, okay? But I want you to hear the hangnail part because sometimes that's all you hear because it's the parting idea that somebody throws out to you when they're talking to you before you go to bed, before you walk out the door, okay? So sometimes that weirdo thing might be left off if it is understood. But in general, in the big picture, when you use subjunctive, the weirdo verb is going to be the part that is just the plain old present tense, presente. That's going to be the plain old present tense part. But this que part is what will often, but not 100%. It could be a different word other than que. This is the connector, and then subjunctive form. And this one is actually that second human being, okay? That subjunctive form conjugates for the other person that you're talking about, all right? Not quiero presentar a mi nieta. I want to introduce. I want, and I'm doing the introducing. So I don't have two different people. Yeah. Then I just get verb and infinitive, verb and infinitive. But now when I start to say I got two different people going on in this sentence connected by a K, now I need subjunctive. So let's look at this. One of the W part of weirdo is verbs of wishing or desire. Okay, so what are those verbs going to be? That first half is going to have to be something like querer, right?
Espero.
Esperar, right? Esperar, right? And how you conjugate the querer, how you conjugate the esperar is plain old present tense, but it'll be for whoever wants that thing to happen. Yeah. Verb or desire. So, okay. Por ejemplo, quiero que me ayudes. ¿Qué quiere decir? Quiero que me ayudes.
I want you to help me.
Okay.
I want you to help me. Literally, I want that you help me. But we don't say it that way in English. We say, I want you to help. But I can't really say this as quiero me ayudar. No, I can't say that. Quiero que me ayudes. I want that you should help me. And look what happens. Quiero es para yo. This is the part that's for yo. Quiero engrandecer esto. Okay. But now here's the second person, the second human being. Ayudes. You do the helping. Right? That second human being might not be tú. Might not be tú. It might be, let's make it a nosotros in the first hand. Esperamos que nuestros hijos lleguen pronto. Esperamos que nuestros hijos lleguen pronto. We hope that, here comes the second human being, the kids. Our kids get here soon. We hope that our kids get here. Are our kids here yet?
No.
They're not here yet. That's why lleguen has to be in subjuntivo. We hope they get here. They're not here at the point we're talking. That's not a fact. So when they say the subjunctive deals with things that are not facts, they're not here yet. Okay.
This is where you go nuts. That is a fact. They aren't there.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah. We could overthink this.
Yeah, I understand that though.
Yeah, but yeah. But you know what? It's good that you say this, because here's what happens. We tend to overthink that.
Yeah.
You know, and I've heard people doing things like, but what if?
Mhm.
And we're conjuring situations that aren't there. But okay, so verbs of wishing or desire, that's one. Quiero, you're talking with a friend. Quiero que me digas todo de lo que pasó. I want that you should
Tell me everything.
tell me everything that happened.
Mhm.
Quiero que me digas todo. Quiero que me digas todo. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, these are things that we tend to say a lot, but look, I want you to cough it up. Yeah, I want you. So that's why we say we have a second human being, not the same one as the first one. It's not, I want to present my granddaughter, because I'd be doing the presenting, right? So it's a different situation to say, por ejemplo, quiero prepararte una cena muy especial. Quiero prepararte una cena divina, una cena muy especial. I want to fix you a really super great dinner. I want to fix for you. I want it, and I'm doing the fixing. I haven't got two people. But when I flip it into a different idea of quiero que me prepares la cena esta noche. Estoy exhausta.
Sí.
I'm wiped. I want you to do this for me. Quiero que tú me prepares la cena esta noche. ¿Entienden? Understand? Un poquito mejor, a little better?
Sí.
See?
When that
Bien.
K goes in there, it to me, it throws it into the subjunctive tense is it not in all or in most cases?
It throws it into subjunctive tense if the
There's another-
first plain old present tense is a
Mhm.
particular type of verb. So that weirdo thing they kept
Ojalá
talking
que-
about,
Mhm.
yeah, it is what is called a trigger for
Mhm.
English speakers. English speakers call this a trigger verb. There has to be a trigger verb. So, okay, let's look at this again because I'm going to give you a little assignment to do for next week. And it won't be like excruciatingly hard. It will be hard only if you make it hard on yourself. I'm going to make it very, very simple, easy. Okay. And you'll get all this list. So you don't have to like furiously copy notes and then look at the screen right now because you're going to get this whole shebang. Okay. Bien. Yes. The que is a signal. The que is one of a couple. It's one of three signals.
Mhm.
Okay. The first signal is it has to be a weirdo kind of verb. The second signal is I got que, and that signal is telling me, uh-oh, look what's coming up. Watch out, what's coming up is a second human being doing something that isn't really happening yet. Oh, so I got the one trigger is the weirdo part is the first important trigger that has to be there. The que is the next, oh, who's coming up? Now I'm listening for who. And now comes a second human being in that subjunctive form. Okay, so what the heck is weirdo about? It means that you can't just say, well, any old verb will use subjunctive with que, because that isn't true. You won't always have a subjunctive after the word que, because we need that trigger of the first verb being some kind of a special verb. It will be a verb of, ¿dónde está? Aquí. Bien. Okay, mejor. Verb of wanting. Okay. A verb of emotion. Ooh, this one is hard. Like, okay, por ejemplo. Okay, so I'm going to put these in English for right now. Meaning somebody wants something, somebody hopes for something. Yeah. The verb of wanting. Yeah. It can be other things too, but we're going to take the easy ones. Verb of emotions, like, oh, this one is the one that's kind of hard. I'm happy that. Not, I'm happy to give a gift since it's his birthday. No. I'm happy that you're coming. Oh, that may seem weird, but verbs of emotion will trigger subjunctive. And I'm sad. Kind of doesn't matter what this emotion is. You're happy that somebody else is doing something. You're sad that somebody else is doing something. That's what happens. I stands for impersonal phrases. And these are just kind of pat, easy to recognize things because they all start with es. Es with an impersonal. An impersonal meaning we're not talking about anybody, but a situation like es imposible. Uy, ay. ¿Por qué doble S? No.
No.
Es imposible, es probable, es importante, things like that. Okay. Recommendations. So in other words, these will be verbs that wind up being things like this. I suggest. Yeah. I recommend. Okay. It'll be verbs like that. And I'll give you a separate list of what some of those are. You're just going to do each. D is for doubt. Ooh, this one I will tell you is very, very hard. It might be something like dudar, to doubt. Dudo que, I doubt that. Dudo que haga mal tiempo mañana. I doubt that it'll be bad weather tomorrow. Dudo que haga mal tiempo. Dudo que llueva. I doubt that it'll rain. Dudo que llueva. Okay. It might even be something like no creo. I don't think that, because if I don't think that something's going to happen, it means I doubt. Yeah, see? And then we got the great big easy one, the big fat easy one, which is ojalá. Yeah, which literally means God willing. But what people use it as is something like to say, hopefully, or I wish. Yeah, okay. And ojalá is always ojalá. It's never something different. The W verbs of the verbs of wanting might be different kinds of verbs. The verbs of emotion might be different kinds of verbs, but ojalá is always ojalá, and it never is something else. Okay. So these things that are called weirdo are things that have to be there to satisfy that first part. Then we'll need a K, and then we'll need a different human being doing something. And that's the part that slides into the subjunctive. Okay. So what you're going to have next week, I'm going to give you a list of like the Spanish verbs, and we're going to dish up some easy ones. Okay. They're not going to be brain busters. Because we got to start off with easy stuff. And I'm going to ask you to create some scenarios of things you might say. As quite often, you know, how many times in a day might you say to a clerk, I would like you to wrap that gift, please. Yeah. You say, I would like you to take my credit card. Oh, I want to use my credit card. That doesn't need subjunctive because I'm the one who wants and I want to use it. I don't have two people. Oh, I sent one of my kids on an errand. I said, I want you to buy this. I want you to use my credit card to buy this. I want that you should use this. So we do this actually quite a lot. Okay. And you started off seeing some of those hangnail phrases, but I'm going to give you some prompts and think about what you might say in different situations. And you can even riff off of that and create some different ideas. Okay. Okay. ¿Dónde está? Momentito. No. Okay. So you won't hear subjunctive all the time, 100% of the time, only when you need it. Okay. I'll also give you a fun video just for listening. They'll have subtitles and it will be easy to read. And I want you to listen in the little story for when subjunctive will creep in, because it will creep in here and there. But I want you to just notice when it's used so that you can kind of pinpoint that. Next time you hear it. ¿Está bien? Are we good with that?
Sí.
Sí. Okay. ¿Alguna pregunta? Any kind of question? You're not going to use, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to have you use like the when situation yet. Yeah, because that's tricky and it requires more thought. We're going to use easy things like desire or recommending, suggesting, maybe it's possible that something will happen, you know, things that are easy to detect with subjunctive as opposed to the tough stuff. Okay. Okay. No hay ninguna pregunta. Wow, no question? Nada. No? Okay, bien. And you're right. If you see it written down or you hear it. But it is what Juanita said of like sometimes when I hear it, well, it goes so fast. But sometimes, yeah. If you don't recognize it when you hear it, you'll probably notice it if it's something that's kind of one of those glaring verbs like espero que tengas.
Yeah.
Because you hear the g of the tengas, right? But if it's only a vowel switching, that might be hard in a normal paced conversation to pick up. Okay. I do want you to rewatch the little video we had with Mariana. I'll send you the link for that. And notice the little places she plugs that in. Yeah. She purposely used a lot of subjunctive, but there are also very natural ways for her to use subjunctive. Okay, bien? ¿Todo bien?
Sí.
Bien.
Ok, fantástico. Y vamos a jugar un poquito. We'll play with this a little bit. ¿Ya? Bien? Ok.
Sí.
Gracias.
Bien, sí, de nada. I didn't want to combine that with any other thing because it's a big
Sí.
topic.
Yeah.
Gracias.
Okay. De nada, de nada. Espero que lo pasen bien, sí, este fin de semana. Hope you have a good time this weekend.
Sí.
Y mañana voy al dentista.